Well. Contrary to the rumors, yeah, the hurricane didn't wipe us out. And we are just, although we're struggling to keep our head above water. That's it. So who we got here? We got Daniel. We got Chad. We got Tim. All right. Welcome. You're saying these are the folks that have posted in the chat. This is the YouTube chat that you can get to either on our YouTube channel or on our website, easternshorebroadcasting.com, right down there. So, yeah. Hello, Eric. Hello, Herman. If anybody has called me and I haven't returned your call, I apologize. It's just been crazy. Yeah. I mean, it's a good kind of crazy, but it's crazy kind of crazy. Hello, Dean. Welcome. Glad to have you. Yeah, we had a hurricane came through here, nearly a direct hit. I mean, that far from being a direct hit, just wiped out thousands and thousands of trees. Entire pecan orchards were just flattened with their fall pecans already on them. Amazing. Hello, Sam. Don't have to tell Sam about the weather. He was probably watching our weather over here, and then he almost got some over there when Hurricane Delta came through. That was a quick one. Hurricane Sally took her time. She was not in any hurry. Yeah. Oh, Dean Herman is on the road from Orlando to Lake Wales. He lives down in Lake Wales. Dean is up in Orlando. All right. Daniel says, got it. I guess it doesn't matter much anymore since you started using the YouTube chat. Well, you know, it's funny. YouTube just changed like last week. Hey, Rich. Hello, Andrew from Australia. Glad to have you. Hey, Ron from Daphne. Is hurricane season over? Not till next month, at least not officially. And we've had some as late as November. Yeah, craziness. But YouTube has classic streaming is gone. It's disappeared. It's not to come back. And so it's a little sketchy getting everything where you want it to go. Tim's in Dothan today. All right. Yes, the South has taken a beating. We probably deserved it. Yeah, we did. All right. Herman is picking up 250 food boxes to give away. Awesome, baby. Awesome. I love it. Your heart is in the right place, my friend. Well, today we might mention vMix 24 I don't know. I'll think about it. Craig's from Indiana. Welcome, Craig. Glad to have you. Maggie from Michigan. Gray and gloomy. Oh my gosh. So sorry. It is like bright and sunny here, like 81 degrees. Still a little too warm for a good football game, but they're playing it anyway. Rudy's having great fun playing with vMix 24. Good, Rudy. I hope you'll chime in as we go through some of the features and tell us what you've seen and what you have seen and what you have experienced. Yeah. Hey, John. Welcome. John is Caribbean Christian Broadcasting. Welcome. He's got a couple of our PCs down there in the Caribbean. And automation for vMix is here from Sweden. From Sweden. All right. Eric's like, yeah, Tom, you know you're going to talk about vMix 24. Well, we've only been waiting for vMix 24 for like, a year. This time last month, we were in Amsterdam with vMix at IBC, and they had introduced, an SRT was going to be released in the next vMix feature, which was 23. So it's been over a year since a vMix new release. And of course, the whole world has just exploded and gone upside down and inside out ever since then. Clint says that it's a beautiful day in the bluegrass. That would be Kentucky, I bet. Oh, man, I bet it's gorgeous up there. Clint, I hope all your gear showed up like it was supposed to. I haven't checked lately. I apologize. Let's see. Yeah, the weather's beautiful here. The world is crazy, crazy, crazy. Cray, 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 cray. Down here in the South, in our little area, things are mostly back to normal. I think the biggest difference is, of course, all the restrictions there are in the school system about social distancing, and so that makes classes a little tough. I haven't talked to a teacher yet, but I'm beginning to. I need to, because I'm sure that's the case. And then in church we're social distancing, but we're not masking. And in in restaurants, I think we might be up to 50% capacity, but it's definitely just decimated the restaurant industry. It's been horrible for those folks. So I really feel for them. vMix 24, yes, they released a beta last night, and Rudy's played with it already. And you shouldn't, remember, I'll tell you this right now, we got 10 minutes before the show starts, but you should not use a beta for any kind of live production, unless you're an idiot. Yes, we are using vMix 24 today. We'll talk about that. Yes, indeedy. So remember, if you decide, and we'll probably get into this a little bit too, if you decide that you want to try it, you can download it. It's on the vMix forum in the general discussion area. I think there's a special thread just for this. And you can always revert back to vMix 23 afterwards. So if you want to try the 24 beta and then you say, I really don't want to, it works fine, but I don't want to, test it in a real live production, that's fine. Make sure you've got the vMix 23, the latest, I think, was .65. And you can install that right over version 24, and it'll keep all your presets and all your files. And Eric says he's an idiot. Good for you. Good for you. All right. So, Film Play Live Brian, R.O. Dixon, welcome. Any chance there are more than 2 outputs? I'm not sure what you're talking about there, R.O. Dixon. Which kind of outputs are you're thinking about, like the external outputs? No, I don't think there are. Hey, Otis. How are you, my friend? Otis from Houston, Texas. Did they mention when the full release would be? No. My guess will be, if it's like others, it'll be a couple of months. And it might even be longer, because again, they're getting hundreds and hundreds of emails every day, especially, probably mostly from new users, obviously. some of which are just, they're buffaloed. They haven't read the manual. They haven't watched any of the videos, but they haven't posted in the forum looking for help. But they've sent vMix an error report because it's not operating the way they think it should. So bless their hearts. And we're getting our share of calls like that too. Tons of calls. I think there was one day where we had 80 phone calls here, 80 phone calls, not so many emails. Craig says vMix beta is better than any other beta. Yes, and I've been informed that I'm mispronouncing it. It's actually pronounced beta. That's the Australian pronunciation, is beta. So yeah, we got a beta, and we're going to beat it to death. And it's already, as you can tell, well, maybe you can't tell, but when I downloaded it at home last night. As soon as I saw that it was available, I put it on my Microsoft Surface, which of course doesn't have the horsepower at all, but I just had to take a look at it. And then downloaded it here on my production PC this morning, and it's already at .34. So this is a very mature beta. My guess is that I haven't talked to Martin or Tim about this, but I'm guessing that most of those dots, .1, .2, .3, .34, are replay, different versions of replay. I know they've tested it and they've sent it out to people that are replay experts to get them to test and comment and find bugs and suggest new features. I was corresponding with somebody this morning that was one of the beta testers, and he said it's really slick. He said it's like Christmas, on steroids. So gonna be great. Hello, Dave. Welcome, Dave. Glad to have you. Good to see you. That's right, Beta and Zed. That's right. Otis says, I'm gonna let find all the bugs out before 24. Well, it's the one thing about vMix as a company, their corporate culture is that they are perfectionists. And they are going to release a beta that, every other beta that they've had has been released with them thinking, we've got everything that we can find. Now we need to put it out in the wild and see all those other use cases that we can't duplicate here and find out where things don't work. And that's the purpose of a beta. So they had I guess I would call a pre-beta that was distributed to a limited number of people to test. And now that it's gone through up to .34, it's now in full beta release. So it's going to be good. Hey Jeff, welcome. Hello Michael. Michael was late because he was playing badminton. That's the life right there. Rafael, welcome from Brazil. Glad to have you. Shrimp on the Barbie, says Rich. Okay. Chicken salt. Oh yeah. I got to find out about chicken salt. That's cool. We got seasoned salt and we've got all sorts of salts, but I've never heard of chicken salt. That was on the vMix Fun Time live show last night here in the U.S. If you missed it, you can go to YouTube, do a search for vMix and go to their page. And I think their most recent video will be the Fun Time live show for October. It's a little early in the month. I think in September they've done it on the 22nd. So they're about a week ahead of last month. My guess is they have some work ahead of them with vMix 24. So John says, Tom, tell us any new features in 24. Well, John, the whole show is going to be about that. We are still in pre-show right now, waiting for people to warm up. Oh, Maggie says that she thinks Tim secretly sells chicken salt. Well, he needs to send us some, doesn't he? Holy cow, I'd use chicken salt. RJ's here. RJ is Emerald Coast TV, and he was working for the Weather Channel doing sound for some of their remote feeds, and he has survived Hurricane Delta. Welcome back. Glad you're back in one piece. RJ is just one of those people, when there's a fire, he's running to the fire with his camera. Raphael says he's had a lot of difficulties with the insertion of audio in vMix. Yeah, the audio is something that tends to trip up a lot of folks. I need to do another video on that. In fact, I had somebody call me this morning. They were trying to get audio into vMix, and as it turned out, their PC, the motherboard or the audio drivers or something, didn't even recognize what they were plugging into it. So it may not be vMix at all. Let's see. Craig says the only way Tim was moving to the States was with a bucket of chicken salt. There you go. Rich is going to be in Naples, Florida. So if you're down in the South Central Florida area at the end of the month, you may want to find out where he's going to be. He's going to be probably live streaming some jet ski races, and you really ought to see that setup. It's really cool, the setup that he's got, the rig that he does. Okay, well, it's time now, so let's get this show on the road. We'll do our regular Jaws of Death. Thank you, Martin K. The vMix, the Streaming Idiots Jaws of Death, and then we'll get ready. We'll get rolling on the show, and we might even talk about vMix 24. Okay, let's see. We've got a button for this. Let's see if it works. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. The phone rang just as you probably heard it as we were going through the welcome. So, hey, I'm Tom Sinclair. This is Streaming Idiots. This is your once a week or less frequently than that dose of live streaming with the longest continually running live streaming show about live streaming shows on the internet, in the world, perhaps even in the galaxy. So glad to have you with me today. Let me pull up the chat here so I can see it. There we go. Yeah, there's the phone. TC, I got your note this morning. I've already shipped your system back to you. You'll have to put that software on and we can test it. But I think we got everything ready to go. TC bought one of our portable systems. Let's see. Oh, Otis says the sound issue he had with his UMC 404 HD was the USB port. There you go. Sometimes that can happen. Yep, sometimes that can happen. So, yeah, and I can see, golly, the phone is just burning up. Bless our hearts. Bless our little hearts, our little pea-picking hearts. So I'm hoping you've tuned in today in order to find out about what's going on with vMix. vMix has been sold to Microsoft. No, I'm just teasing. Just teasing. That's not even funny, is it? Oh, gosh, that would be horrible. Martin, do not sell to Microsoft or Google or Cisco or Mark Cuban or any of those crazies. Keep going where you're going. You're doing great. You got your eye on the ball and you're crushing it. I don't know that Martin ever watches this show, but if you happen to talk to Martin, tell him that we think he's crushing it. Keep going. Have fun. Don't pay any attention to the criticism about, now, never mind. I'm not going to even mention the criticisms. Just keep going. Keep crushing it. Yes, last night, today is October. What day is it? It's October 14th. October 14th. Last night, October 13th, here in the States, vMix released a beta, which they pronounce as a beta. That's the Australian pronunciation. Apparently, they pronounce it the way it's spelled. Imagine that. They finally, after a year, released a beta of vMix 24. We were talking in pre-show that last month, September, a year ago, we were in Amsterdam with them at the IBC conference and talking to people about vMix, and vMix 23 hadn't even been released. We were showing off SRT, and in fact had an SRT feed coming from Australia to Amsterdam that was showing just how clear it was and how reliable it was. Boy, it has a lot of water gone under the bridge since then. So obviously with the COVID crisis, everything's shutting down. Everybody's trying to do live streaming from their home. People are working from home. People are doing church from home. They're doing all sorts of things. And vMix just was the right thing the right tool in the right place at the right time. But as you can imagine, if all of a sudden your business grows by, I don't know, 1,000%, that means you've got 10 times as many inquiries, 10 times as many tech support calls, 10 times as many everything as you ever had before. So if they were getting 100 emails a day before, can you imagine dealing with 1,000 emails a day? I can't. Here at Eastern Shore Broadcasting, there was one day where we get some emails, but it's mostly phone calls. We got 80 phone calls in one day. 80 phone calls in one day. Anyway, so that's just a brief explanation as to why it's taken so long for vMix to get 24 out as a beta. They just weren't going to release it until it was, oh my gosh, I think I'm going to have to sneeze. Just one second. Thank goodness for the sneeze button. Okay. They weren't going to release it until it was suitable to be released. The vMix guys just have this perfection mindset. If they know something's wrong in the software, they're not going to send it out there so that everybody else can trip over it. They want to put their best foot forward. They want to say, hey, we've done everything we can find, but we don't have every possible configuration of PCs and cameras and audios and everything else. So that's why it gets released as a beta, so that people that do have all those configurations can see what it is and have a chance to find something that wasn't found in the alpha stages. I don't know whether they had a super alpha or a pre-beta, but there was a small number of folks that did get an early release to play with and to experiment with. The big deal, as you may already know, the big deal about vMix 24 is they've pretty much completely rewritten instant replay. And I was talking with an instant replay operator, a pro, this morning while we were texting, and he said that it's really sweet, that he's been working with them for a while, and they've done all sorts of great things to it. And I actually invited him to come on the show now, and he had a gig he had to get to. But the replay, let me give you the basics, and then we'll take a look at some of it. The replay has been expanded from 4 cameras to 8 cameras. Now, yes, 8 cameras. That's right. You're like, 8 cameras? How in the world can you handle 8 cameras? Well, how in the world can you handle 8 cameras? How in the world can a PC handle 8 cameras? And if you, where did I see this? It must have been on the vMix forum. No, it was in the vMix. It was in vMix 24 help, where they talked about the system requirements for instant replay for 8 cameras was going to be a 18-core CPU and all sorts of other, like a 2080 Ti graphics card and, super fast M.2 SSD and all sorts of other specs that just said, it's going to be a super duper machine. We're going to be speccing out one and probably building a prototype here so that we can test it and make sure that it's something that we can sell and support. In addition to 8 cameras, so 8 channels of instant replay, it's also going to have 4 channels of audio. So you can take audio from different sources. That's right. If you've got if you're doing football, American football, and you've got a camera on the field, and that camera's got a mic, and there's a big hit in front of you, and you want to capture that audio with that camera, you can do that and still have a different audio source for the other replays. I'm not sure this next feature is really cool. I can't do it here. I was thinking I might somehow replicate it in the pre-show, in the prep time, but I didn't get to it. But the vMix has the capacity, if you've got a camera that will be 240 frames a second, yes, you heard me correctly, 240 frames a second, vMix Replay will support that camera. Can you imagine doing 240 frames a second on a sideline camera, watching the action come at you and slowing it down to 25% and still having 30 frames a second? Would that be 20? No, that would 25% would still be 60 frames a second. Well, you'll have to check my math on that. Anyway, maybe it's like 12%. It would be super slow at 30 frames a second. How smooth would, I can't wait to see that. I mean, that's going to be amazing. And if you've got it, a 240 frames per second camera that you'd like to loan me or let me try, I would be happy to do that and see what we can get with that. That's going to be fun. The replay video, of course, is going to be the vMix AVI format, the 4.2.2 video. And there'll be, in the past, there have been two playback channels. There have been an A and a B, and now they've been separated. So you can have them in sync like you did before, and your operator can switch back and forth between A and B. Or they can be two separate channels of replay. So that was a very sought-after feature request and has now been fulfilled. And if we have time, we'll take a look at that. There's a new instant replay multi-view. So I'm looking at it right here. In fact, you might want to take a look at it. Let's see if we can just pop it up on the screen here. So you can see there it is. That is the, you can see down here, me in the bottom left. And let's take the streaming idiots off. Yeah, there we go. So we can have, you can see I've got 5 cams in here. Well, and there's nothing on the 6th one, and I didn't have a 7th or an 8th one. But that's what the multi-view will look like. Let's go back to me here. There we go. And the interface will now accept the replay interface. And can I show the replay interface? Let's see. Let's turn that off and turn that on. And yeah, here's the replay interface. And you can see I've got a couple of clips, but you notice right here, you now have the ability to have 20 different events. So you've got all sorts of bins that you can throw stuff in. Yeah, it's got the same kind of the same look as before, but you can see here are my A and B cameras, and then here are my sources, so that I can operate here off of this screen, or I can operate off of that screen. So, going to be cool. Definitely cool. Definitely cool. Can't wait to play with it. I've just played with it long enough just to set it up. I know Rudy's been playing with it, so we'll have to get some input from him. And there's more in replay, but I don't want to spend the whole show talking about replay, because it's in hearing some of the behind the scenes chatter about this, and you may have heard some of it too, is that vMix 24 was going to be the big instant replay rewrite. Well, then it got delayed. And meanwhile, there are all these other cool features that are being suggested in the feature request. You say feature request. How do you do a feature request? You do a feature request by sending a personal email to Tim and telling him that you want, I'm teasing. No, you go to the vMix forums, that's plural, forums.vmix.com. You go there, and there's a feature request section. You have to log and become a member of the forum, but that's where you can suggest ideas or the problems that you've been having that you see a solution to, or you'd like a solution to. But if you do that, do be courteous and take some time and go through the feature requests that are already present. In fact, you can use the search function there in that, and make sure that somebody else hasn't already made that suggestion. Because here's what vMix does, is they follow that feature request section really, really closely. And they're looking for, if there are 5 features that they're kind of following as real potential, they want to see how many people agree with the original poster on that. So if somebody goes in and adds a post to that thread and does a +1, then that's considered a me too. And so if you suggest something that's already been suggested, your suggestion is not going to get credited towards the thread that they've been following. So your suggestion or your +1 will be lost. So take a few minutes, try to search through there and see if somebody else has already suggested that. And that's forums.vmix.com, the feature request section. Well, the feature request section just, has exploded. like everything at vMix, has exploded in a good way, of course. And so they didn't want to wait for vMix 25 to put some of these new features in, and they didn't want to take new features and put them into vMix 23, because vMix 23 is a very mature release. I mean, it's at .65, so it's been through 65 versions, and you just generally, you don't add new cool features to a mature piece of software like that. You do it in the new one. So vMix 24, which you can get right now, if you're just joining us, you can get it by going to the vMix forum, going to the general discussion section, downloading it. Remember, it's not to be used for production. And repeat after me, unless you're an idiot. Unless I'm an idiot, I'm not allowed to use it for production. I think Eric said earlier he already had. And we're using it today. It is 24.0.0.34. And we were going to have to use it. So far, it's been smooth as butter. I've got five cameras connected to Instant Replay right now, and I'm not recording replay at the moment. And what else are we running? We've got, 70 or so inputs. Oh, Maria's here. She wants to know what she's missed. Can you start over? Well, actually, YouTube, you've got that little DVR function. You can drag it back to the beginning, but then you miss out. You'll just have to watch the rest later. We were talking about vMix 24. It might be released soon. No, just teasing. It was last night. So the replay was the big feature, but there were all these other features that vMix has kind of been accumulating as things that they wanted to put in, and they said, well, what the heck? Let's go ahead and put them into vMix 24. And so they're not giants, but they might be for you. For example, if you have been using stingers and you've used 2 stingers and you just needed a 3rd stinger or maybe even a 4th stinger, well, bingo, you're in luck, because vMix has expanded stingers from 2 to 4. Yes, if you go to the overlay section, you now see that you have 4 stingers instead of 2. For those of you that wanted borders, those nice little, I should have done borders on this. Doggone it. You can do borders. You can do borders in color. You can do borders with a radius edge. It's great. It's great. I would use vMix if it were free. Well, you get what you pay for. That's the comment in the chat. Yeah, you can't have all these goodies and expect it to be a free item and to have outstanding tech support. Michael's asking specs on my machine. It's an i7. I think it's an 8700K CPU, 16 gigs of RAM, solid state main drive, RTX 2060 graphics card. Trying to remember, is there anything else really notable about that? Not really. We're running 3 monitors, and that's basic specs. So anyway, if you've been waiting on borders, go play with borders. They are really cool. Probably the most interesting change is a very small change, but it's interesting. And again, let me explain. Let me give you a little background, then I'll tell you about the change. vMix, as a corporate philosophy, and this is my read on it. This is not something they've published or said, but my read on it is they have a great deal of respect for legacy, and that is for a feature or a camera or a capture card or something like that worked 10 years ago. They want to make sure that vMix today will still work with that item if it's at all possible. Now, not the Blackmagic Intensity Shuttle USB 3. That never worked. But I'm talking about things that used to work. vMix wants to protect the longtime vMix users that are still using old gear or old workflows, and so that vMix 24 will respect that and still be functional. And you don't see that in a lot of other softwares. You see that, all of a sudden Windows gets rewritten and they have tiles, Windows 8, which was just such a a disaster. And, you know, everybody's supposed to adjust their life to that. Well, vMix is far more respectful of their user base. And they say, you know, we really don't want to make you change the whole way you think and the whole way you look and learn all sorts of new things just to do what you used to be able to do before. So as a result, I personally have pushed for a change in the vMix, the look, the GUI. It looks old, and they're just not going to change it, because everybody that's been using vMix for years knows where everything is and knows how to make it work. And if you're coming on board, you come on board with the rest of us and you get to use it the way it is. So you're not going to find that the layout of the vMix desktop, I don't think, you're not going to find that change. But if you have an input, and let's say it's a camera like this one, and I want to build some overlays into it like this one that would stay up all the time, I can go into that input, and in the settings for that input, there was a category called multi-view, where I could add up to 10 different layers of graphics or whatever, picture-in-picture, however you wanted to talk about it. But multi-view was a word that vMix uses somewhere else also. There's a vMix multi-view that will show you, you know, a program and a preview and your top 8 sources, or actually any 8 you want. Or there's one that'll show like 14 sources. I mean, and that's called, in the industry, it's called multi-view. So vMix had the same name for 2 different things that were related but definitely were not the same. And so they have decided to rename the input multi-view to layers, which I think makes much more sense. And really, really excited about that little change. I think, let's see, let me just pop open one right here. Have I got, yeah, let's show you this one. So we've got, that's not active. We want desktop capture. Let me renew this desktop capture for a second. Something happened and it is not cooperating. There we go. All right. So we got a desktop capture. There we go. There's me over here in preview. You can see the desktop capture over there in program. And I'm going to bring up this. I will just bring up the settings for my camera. It's the main shot. I'll just bring it over me. And right over here on the left, oh, you know what? Let's go back to one second. I forgot to sharpen my desktop capture. There we go. So we'll go back into this one. And if you can see over here on the left, where it used to say multi-view, well, actually it still says multi-view, but now it says layers. And so layers, I think, is much more descriptive. And as you get into it, you can now go in and edit the layers. It used to say, I think it used to say position right here, but now we can go in and edit. So if I'm going to go in and edit my my bird dog, I can now go in and see. It used to say something like overlay channel 2 or something like that. Well, now it says the main and then layers 1 through 10. Well, that's much more sensible. I like. While we're here, you can see the border sections. Here are the border tools. You can play with those too. So you've got bordering. Shall we put a border on us just for fun? Let's put a border on us just for fun. We'll make it a bright green border so we'll see it. We'll give it a thickness of, I don't know, maybe 100 pixels. Yeah, there it is. You can see around there. And we'll give it a radius of, I don't know, 50 pixels. There's a 50 pixel radius. So now we've got a border for what it's worth. So you've got the multi-view, which has been renamed to layers, which I think is much more sensible and is going to make it much easier for newbies to pick up on how vMix works. and going to be great. A lot of you have been waiting for NDI 4.5. vMix has incorporated NDI 4.5 into vMix 24. vMix also has alerts now. There's some audio alerts. Didn't get the full story on those, but if you have requested that, that's in there now too. For those of you that wanted an SRT indicator, just like you've got a stream indicator and an external indicator and a record indicator, there's now an SRT indicator. It's in the same spot up in vMix with the rest of them. There's some of you that have wanted the tally light to follow a virtual PTZ. Well, now that'll happen. Are you getting the idea that there's just lots of little cool things? I mean, yes, instant replay is huge, but there are all these other cool things that have been kind of waiting for a while to get put into a release, and they're in 24. So 24 is going to be a big release. Rudy says the alerts are looking great. For those of you that have got I think it's the later Gen 2 PTZ optics cameras. There was an early Gen 2 and then a later Gen 2, and I think this is just the later Gen 2, certainly all the current stuff. You now have focus control. I think somebody was mentioning that yesterday about focus control. Well, you need to check your camera and see, and you need to have the latest firmware. Although the PTZ Optics hasn't changed their firmware a whole lot. They're not like Bird Dog where they're releasing new firmware every month. They kind of have something that works, and they lock in and they stay with it. So that's just a partial list. That's just the things that I gleaned that I thought were most interesting. If you'd like to see the complete feature list, go to it gets you to the forum. Go to forums.vmix.com. Look in the general discussion section. There'll be something about the Beta 24. And the very first post there, well, number one, will give you an opportunity to download it and try it. But number two, it'll give you the full listing of all the things that are currently in the .34 version. I would expect that people will be reporting bugs, because they'll have all those kind of oddball use cases. And if the past history is to be the future history, Martin will jump on those bugs as personal affront and get those rectified ASAP. I mean, you remember it was like June of 2016 when Facebook suddenly decided that if you were live streaming to Facebook using the API, that you couldn't live stream to anything else at the same time. And that broke a lot of softwares like vMix that were using the API in order to make your life easier. It was a kind of a one button kind of thing. And because I remember, I was with Martin in Atlanta at the StreamCon conference, and all of a sudden he disappeared one morning. Didn't see him till later that afternoon. And basically he went back up to his room and fixed that. Found out what was going on and fixed it. Now it took a while for Facebook to finally get around to deciding that, we're going to be a little less unfriendly, and rescinded that policy. And that happened just this year, I think. Anyway, so that is I was distracted by Andrew. It says, don't forget NDI 4.5 support and the ability to run NDI inputs in isolated mode. Andrew, thank you for mentioning that, because that's a pretty big deal. Some folks have had problems with NDI sources that the NDI source is having a problem, and so it kicks vMix into some sort of crazy hyperdrive and can cause freeze, or in some bad cases actually a crash of the software. And so even though those items haven't been fixed, Martin has built basically a fence around them. And we'll be exploring that too to find out just exactly how that fence is going to work. Rudy says that there's a new trigger, on-call disconnected connected trigger, so that you can show a blank frame when a call disconnects. This is on vMix Call, instead of showing the last frame of video when the call did disconnect. So there is, and there's lots packed into that. So I hope you will explore it, download it. If you are new to vMix, you could get the beta and play with that. I mean, if you're an instant replay operator looking for a better replay, definitely do that. But if you're just new to vMix and you want to find out what all the fuss is about, just go to vmix.com and download the free trial version. The free trial version is the equivalent to the $1,200 Pro version, and you can use it for free for 2 months. It's not watermarked or crippled in any way. Actually, encourage you to take a look at that. As a vMix reseller, we want you to download it from them at vmix.com, but when it comes time to purchase it, we want you to come to us at easternshorebroadcasting.com and make your purchase. And as a benefit, it's the same price, but as a benefit, you get support from us, in addition to the support that you would get from vMix. If you don't buy it from us, you don't get our support. Well, you can purchase the support, but it's not quite the same thing. So that's the story on vMix 24 in a nutshell. And by the way, don't use vMix 24, the beta version, for live production, says Martin Sinclair. Tom Sinclair, we're 19th cousins, probably, something like that. Tom Sinclair says, unless you're an idiot. So this entire show has been brought to you today by vMix 24 Beta. Yay! And cruise along at 29%. We're streaming to YouTube and streaming to Facebook. We're recording. We've got instant replay with 5 cameras up. We're doing a 1080p 29.97 production, so 30 frames a second. Our render time is under 10 seconds. Right now it's 6 or 8. Our GPU memory usage is 71%. CPU is at, for vMix is 17%. And the total CPU is 26%. So we're, Chris says he's an idiot. Congratulations, Chris. But we really already knew that. Oh. Rich says, can you tell if performance is better with vMix 24? That's a good question, Rich. I probably need to do a front and back comparison. Let's close out this part of the show. We'll go to the post show, and I really want to take your questions, and we can direct them to this. But if you're watching us for the first time, we'd love to have you subscribe to us on YouTube. We'd love to have you come join our group on Facebook. It's called Streaming Idiots, and there's a discussion about live streaming going on pretty much 24/7 there. So come join the group. If you what else do we have going on? Oh, if you are interested, our main business, the reason we do the show is to promote ourselves. Of course, Eastern Shore Broadcasting, we design and build PCs using vMix for live streaming. And we also represent Bird Dog and PTC Optics and Magewell and Uon and X Keys. Oh, got a show. Can we show off? Yeah, this is not an official approved version of how the X Keys should be laid out. No, but it works for me. This is the X Key 80. And the X Keys have got a beautiful instant oh, it's out of reach. It's right over there. A beautiful instant replay controller with a jog shuttle and a T-bar for adjusting speed that is designed to work with vMix. So if you're interested in something like that, we sell those and can help you get one and get it installed properly. Got to brag on myself for just a second. Really excited because we've been selected by the Pascagoula Performing Arts Theater in Pascagoula, Mississippi, to do the install of their live streaming system there in their beautiful brand new theater. We'll be putting in 3 Bird Dog P200s and the Bird Dog keyboard and the X Keys 128 T-bar, and then of course a custom PC that we're building for them. A big shout out to the folks in Waynesboro, Virginia, to the Wayne Theater there, where we've just provided them remotely with very much the same setup. The PTZ Optics, a trio of Bird Dog P200 cameras, the keyboard and a PTZ and a custom streaming PC. To all our other clients that we've been working with, TC Long, to Edwina, to Gary and to Jim and to Rich and to Matt, and just we have been overwhelmed with the business, probably coming from the coronavirus thing, but we appreciate all of our clients and thank you. We've got let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4. We've got 5, maybe 6 PCs either under construction or waiting to be built. And if we can help you with any or all of that, we would be delighted to. Oh, Michael says the replay controller is designed for 4 cameras, not 8. Well, we'll have to fix that. Yes, we will. Okay, we'll close out this section of the show. We'll go into the post-show. Stick around. We'll be right back. Okay, we're now in the post show. All right, so the replay controller is designed for 4 cameras, not 8. Well, that's a problem. Oh, and Eric says he created a shift key to fix that. Well, darn, there you go. Eric would love to know more about that. And Maggie didn't take any time to chime in that's the beauty of the X keys, is they can be reconfigured immediately. I mean, literally, you can reconfigure an X key in less than 5 minutes. So if you need to put in a 5th camera because you're only using 5, you can do that. That's the beauty of the X keys. Yep, love X keys, love X keys, love X keys. John, hello. Welcome, Jan. Well, not welcome because you're not here, but glad you're watching. So, Rudy says tomorrow he's going to play with his favorite new, oh golly, I lost him. Where is Rudy? Let's see, let's turn off this so I can get back to that. And Rudy says he's going to play with his favorite new feature, dynamic inputs. Rudy, will you explain dynamic inputs to everybody else? I mean, of course, I already got what they mean, but okay, Eric can call me later on the shift key. Thank you. That's very good. That's very good. All right. So, link to the Hollywood and antennas. Okay. Oh, that must be some other conversation. That's okay. That's okay. What may we have missed? Hello, Love Audio. Glad you're here. vMix 23 user here. Well, most everybody is a vMix 23 user. So you're in the majority, except for Chris. He's an idiot. Sorry. He posted that. I'm just quoting him. Trying to see if I've missed anything. Michael asked, can you make the layer smaller with the border? Yes, you can. You can size it. I don't think you can crop it because that crops off the border, but you can definitely size it by reducing. Oh, I don't know. Let's see. Can you? Let's go back to me. And if I crop me, does that crop the border? Yeah. No, it doesn't crop the border. No, it doesn't crop the border. So let me show you what I'm looking at. This is, over here, this is the show, and I actually overlaid this over my regular show format over here, and you can see the border's still there. So the border goes around in this case, the whole production. But you can also put a border just around an overlay. So let's see, layers, multi-view, borders around 2. So we uncrop. Well, maybe I'm mistaken. Let's see. Yeah, there we go. So you can see that I've got the border just around that portion. So yeah, in fact, there was much more to it than we saw before because it went off the screen. So yeah, there we go. So definitely you can do borders. And the radius, Chad had said earlier, the radius didn't look like it did anything, and that's because obviously we couldn't see it because it was too big, essentially. It was too big. I did it too big. Sorry about that. All right. Let's see, what else have we missed? Will we do a TJ follow-up course on replay? Yes. Yes, we definitely will. We'll probably wait until vMix 24 is officially released. We won't do it based on a beta, but we will do, and we'll probably just do a complete front-to-back class as if you'd never seen replay before. That way we can include everybody. Can you do a desktop view of the new version? Sure. I think I know what you mean. This is a desktop view of the new version. Looks kind of like the old version. Is that what you meant, Rich? I mean, you can download it yourself. All right, SLC TV said, I gave a tip that you can easily extend the range of a Hollyland Mars 400 from 150 meters to several kilometers cheaply. Good, thank you, good deal. All right, Rudy says from Martin, input borders are currently assigned to the entire video frame and won't reduce in size to match the crop at this time due to technical limitations. All right. So there we go. Rich says, LOL, are there any new menus showing up there? Looking around, no. It looks exactly the same. Exactly the same. The new menu would be, if we looked at an input, we would see we have something here called Layers Multi-View. But everything else on an input looks the same. If we go to Settings, we see that we have everything looks the same there. So yeah, it's just basically instant replay, of course, looks different. News on audio buses. There was something about audio there. I didn't really understand it. Rudy, maybe you've seen it, but if we look at settings and go to the audio outputs, nothing has changed in this menu. We've still got the same inputs and outputs, or actually audio outputs that we had before. So what happens if we do a merge here? It just does a fade. Okay. Rudy says a new SRT indicator light. That's right. Yes. If I had SRT going, we would have seen an SRT light, but I didn't. Stefan says, try 5 camera replays with your 8700K. Well, we might do that. Yes. Rich says alerts. Yeah, what I get, I'm not sure where the alerts, let's look. Look in settings. I think the alert was in the audio section. So let's go into my mic right here. And was there an alert there? No, where was the alert? Was it on the audio page? I saw it just last night. Oh, yeah, that's right. It is. Let me show you guys this. It is. So if I go to settings and open the settings menu, alerts is new. Yes, thanks, Rich. There you go. And so this is a volume alert that displays an alert on the UI and the multi-view when the volume drops below 20 decibels for 5 seconds. So let's turn that on. And then it is a fade to black alert, displays an alert on the UI and the multi-view when the fade to black is enabled. Okay, so we'll turn that one on. And I'll be real quiet. Let's see what happens. There you go. Can't beat that one. Did you see that? Low volume. All right. Now, what if I turn on fade to black? Let's see what happens with the fade to black. So I'm going to hit the fade. We'll turn fade to black off. And we can leave those on. They're not going to hurt anything. There you go. Okay. So Rudy says audio channel matrix presets. I have no idea what you're talking about, Rudy. Help me on that one. Ryan says, Tom, your GPU memory is 70%. How do you lower this, and does it matter for streaming? I had to downgrade to a cheaper PC, and GPU is memory is 90%. Wondering if it'll impact my stream. Ryan, yeah, people get upset about that a lot. The GPU memory is, when vMix starts out, it will go, this low volume thing is going to drive me crazy now. When vMix, let me go back to this screen. Maybe that'll help. And let's turn off that low volume alert. Gee, me. We'll turn off both of them. Don't need those alerts. Okay. Thank goodness you don't have to restart to turn them on, off and on. When vMix starts, it sees your NVIDIA video card, and it goes out and it takes a portion of the RAM. I hope I'm explaining this correctly. It takes a portion of the RAM on that card and it makes that available for vMix's exclusive use. And so if there's 8 gigabytes of RAM and vMix takes 5, I don't know that that's true, but just for sake of argument, that 5 now represents 100% of what vMix can use. And so if it puts in 3 of the 5, it's now used 60% of the available GPU memory. So once it uses 100%, then vMix has to go to your hard drive or to your solid state drive in order to get whatever graphics that it needed that it would have otherwise stored in the graphics card memory. It's just basically a way of speeding up the operation, making vMix snappier by having this stuff already ready to go in the graphics card as opposed to having it sitting on your drive somewhere. So don't worry about 90%. I'm at 71%. On other PCs that I use, I hit 100% if I use a lot of videos. Videos tend to fill it up pretty quickly. So don't sweat that. Obviously, you don't like a desktop capture. I think, for example, will use a lot of GPU memory. But don't sweat it. But don't keep inputs around that you don't need because they might use some of that stuff. Let's see. Rich says, "LOL, no excuse for not turning on the mic anymore." Yeah. Rudy says, "Fade to black shows alert on your screen multi-view." Yep, we saw that. SLC TV says, "Tom, isn't it possible to send links?" Yeah, let me get into the live stream directly on that. I think I have to approve that. Let me scroll back and see if there is a link there. Well, I don't see a link that I need to approve. Let me scroll down again. Post it again and let's see. Oh, Andrew corrects me and says the reserve memory is set by an NVIDIA card, not by vMix. Thank you, Andrew. So SLC TV, try the link again and we'll see if it pops up and allows me to have an opportunity to approve it. And we'll see. If not, you can send it to me, tom@easternshorebroadcasting.com, and I'll put it in the comments for this video on YouTube. All right. Rudy says there are presets now in the audio matrix screen. You know, I've never gotten into the audio matrix, so we need to take a look at that for sure. Yep. Okay. SLC, I'm not seeing a URL on this end. I apologize for that, but that's on YouTube. Oh, there it is. All right. Let's show it. There it is. And he says, take away the spaces he put in. So there we go. That's better. That's better. Very good. Very good. Very good. Very good. Okay. Very, very good. Very, very good. Well, folks, I have got to get back to building PCs. But if I can help you in any way, holler out to me. If I don't respond right away, my apologies in advance. It's been a crazy last couple of months, and you know, part of me hopes that things get back to slow and normal again, and part of me, of course, says, let's let this go forever. But please download vMix 24, give it a look. If you find a bug or you want to make comments, you can go to the vMix forum where you got vMix 24 and post a note there. That's not a place to post feature requests, by the way. If you have a requested feature for vMix 24, put it in the feature request section, because that's where the vMix guys are expecting to find it. Yeah, there we go. And if you're new to vMix, there are all sorts of great tutorials on how to use vMix on YouTube, in the vMix channel on YouTube. They have some playlists that take you through it from start to finish. So take some time, invest in yourself, and invest in that process, and I think it'll really, really, really pay off for you. A big thanks to everybody that tuned in today. Appreciate you, and we will see you next week. Hopefully we'll have a little bit more in-depth review of Instant Replay next week. We'll have to see how that washes out, in addition to everything else that we're trying to do. Oh, I want to have a PTZ camera shootout too. That came up earlier. Today we're using the BirdDog P100 for our cam. And we put them up here. So we've got a couple other cams here. This is the north cam. This is the middle cam, and this is the south cam of our several BirdDog cams that we were using. And let's see if we can show you where those are. I think we've got a shot of those right there. We go, right there. So yeah, we've got the 3 BirdDogs set up across the way with a PC that's in a bread box build, and then you can see a stack of motherboard boxes behind it, and the vMix banana hiding in the corner. Yeah. So that's it. That's it. So on behalf of all of us here at Eastern Shore Broadcasting, thanks for tuning in this week. We will see you again next week. I promise. Well, I promised before, and I shouldn't have. So I will do my best I will do my best to be here next week because that's what we do. Y'all take care.